Hello, my name is Karen Downing, and I want to share something with you that is so important to me that I'm selling all my possessions and my home to go live in Nicaragua full time. In about 90 days, sometime in September, I'm going to Nicaragua to establish a Jesus-centered trauma recovery ministry. I will be training professionals and church leaders to effectively use the presence of Jesus to heal hearts that are broken and hurting from trauma. Let me share with you what these counselors will be learning and what their counselees will be experiencing. To do that, I want to tell you the story of Carlos. Carlos was a boy who lived in a rural area in Nicaragua. Abandoned by his parents, he lived with a relative. He was also developmentally delayed, which means he just couldn't mature in his emotions and he just couldn't learn above about a 7-year-old level. Carlos was sexually assaulted by several men, and eventually the social services in Nicaragua took Carlos away to live in another place. When I met Carlos, no one had ever seen him smile, not ever, and he couldn't engage with people and especially adults. Carlos and I invited Jesus into Carlos's memories to be with Carlos in that memory, and Jesus met the needs of his heart in that moment. Jesus shared in the hopelessness and helplessness that Carlos experienced during the assaults. At one point, Jesus asked Carlos to forgive those men. Carlos didn't want to, and he couldn't understand why he should. We talked about how evil the actions of those men were, and that even they could never ever pay enough or repay enough for what they did. But that his experience was so important, and that Carlos was so significant, that Jesus wanted to make sure Carlos had a way to be free from them and what they had done to him. So Jesus took all that evil to the cross with him, experienced the horror of it himself, and took responsibility for what they did. So we made a cross on the floor, and then we used some dolls to represent the men Carlos was thinking about and that were in his experience, and Carlos put the dolls with Jesus on the cross. After that, Carlos was able to forgive the men, and he smiled. He really, truly smiled. From the bottom of his heart, he smiled. Now Carlos engages with others, especially adults, and he smiles. And Carlos is just one of thousands of children and adults in Nicaragua. Thousands of hearts that are trapped in the pain and suffering trauma leaves behind. This long-term mission is not only going to bring Jesus to these hearts, but more importantly, train others in Jesus-centered trauma recovery along with other counseling skills that will heal hearts and restore lives that in turn heal communities and remove barriers to the love of Christ. I want to ask you for your help in 2 specific ways. Please pray about each of these and let God speak to your heart about what He wants you to do. First, I would like you to consider giving me your name and your email address so that you can receive letters and updates and prayer requests on this work in Nicaragua. Secondly, I would like to ask you to make a financial gift to this work. For example, just $25 a month will pay the phone bill. $100 a month will pay about half a monthly salary for office help, and $200 a month can help pay for office space. I'm excited to see the kingdom come in the hearts of the hurting in Nicaragua and throughout Central America, and want to invite you to participate in this incredible move of God.